Hey everybody, welcome back to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. I am your host today, Coach Jolie. I'm here with Coach Brande, and today we're going to dive into food first mentality related to protein, all the things. We're going to give you guys a good episode, a good rundown. But first, before we dive in, we wanted to give a shout out to a member of the week. So this week we're shouting out McKaylee Roth. McKaylee is amazing. She's in, I believe, her second month with us now. Was a member a little while ago and then, just had a lot of life changes, made her way back to us, was super excited to get back into strength training and have a program that she could follow, and has really been just taking everything in and absorbing it and integrating it, and has just made so much progress in a shorter amount of time, arguably. Yeah.
She's incredible. Her consistency has been amazing. Her energy in the workout is amazing. She's really, really focused on, strength training and everything else, just living a healthy lifestyle, and it shows, and she is doing incredible.
Yeah. And she had a really big focus of I want to make sure I'm not pushing too hard or, making sure I'm progressing in an appropriate amount of time. And she's just doing such an amazing job in gaining strength and feeling really good. So
yeah, keep it up, McKaylee. We're proud of you.
Yeah, way to go. All right. So let's dive into food.
Perfect. One of my favorite topics.
Yes, same. Ready for lunch. So oftentimes here, you've heard us talk a lot about protein and get your protein in and make sure you're, when you're traveling, when you're doing this, protein. And I think it's easy for people to say, oh, okay, I'll get a protein shake. I'll get a bar. I'll get a jerky stick, quick grab and go snacks, things that are arguably more processed. And they're thinking that by having a protein shake a day, they're doing all the wonders for their body. They're getting enough protein in that 30-gram shake. And they're like, okay, amazing. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest problem with reaching for those things, Brande?
I think, in terms of reaching for those easy to grab things, they can be a tool. And I think there's, a time and place for them. But if that's your go-to on a daily basis, then, it's not, it is more processed than a whole food focus approach to getting your protein in. So you might be missing out on some micronutrients. If that's the only source of protein that you're getting throughout the day, then it's likely not enough protein. And, you're just missing out on the bigger picture, I feel like. Where, if you really focus on whole foods, less processed foods, I think that can have a bigger impact. And if we're talking about highly processed foods, I think there is a real problem with the amount of highly processed foods that people are consuming in their daily routine. The average American is eating a lot of very highly processed foods. We see rates of colorectal cancer increasing, and in people that are younger that we've never seen before. And I know that there's been some association related to highly processed foods and other diseases as well. So right. I think, there's a whole lot to unpack there with highly processed foods. I think if most of your meals are whole food base and you're really striving to get your, the amount of protein you need on a daily basis, and, you're using a protein shake or, a bar or something as a supplement.
Exactly.
Or if you're traveling and you have no other options, it can be a good resource or good option or tool for you. But if that's what the majority of your meals are centered around, then I think, there's kind of good, better, best methodology, and that's probably not the best.
Yes, for sure. That's so well said. I think prioritizing whole nutrient-dense foods, and I think the key here is nutrient density, right?
Yeah.
Your body is going to digest a protein shake that is, a ready-made protein shake, like a Muscle Milk, whatever brand, choose a brand here, versus eating a like a chicken breast and like having some chicken breast, rice, and like a salad on the side, your body's going to absorb those nutrients differently.
Yes.
The shake is more processed.
Yes.
We've got micronutrients that come in other leafy greens and other amino acids and things like that are in food-based protein, animal-based proteins, plant proteins, things that are, yes, they take a little bit more effort to maybe prepare or go just a little bit further to make sure that you have those things readily available to you. But your digestive system, will thank you for eating and prioritizing food first.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big one that I've seen with a lot of people who have come in recently who are just like, I don't know what's going on with, like, I'm feeling some mental fog, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And then we'll food journal and we'll see, okay, they're having maybe 2 shakes and a protein bar a day. And part of it's looking at, okay, where can we actually put a meal in place here instead of these things that are supplementing your protein.
Yeah,
so, that's a big one.
I mean, you mentioned like gut health, not feeling well, maybe feeling like there's inflammation or noticing that you're feeling bloated or whatever the case may be. A lot of that could be if you are eating highly processed foods, you're not getting enough fiber in your diet, or the 3 macronutrients are really important. So making sure, yes, protein is really important, but also making sure you're getting healthy fats, you're getting carbohydrates. Like those are all 3 of those macros do different things within your body. You need the carbohydrates for fuel and energy. You need the fats. Hormone health is really important, and that helps with hormone health. You need fiber, and most Americans are not getting enough fiber in their diet. And so all of that can contribute to gut health, to inflammation. There's association potentially there with developing Alzheimer's disease, and the gut brain connection is very real. And if you are able to focus on whole food first, filling your days, your meals with foods that are not processed or are not highly processed, because sometimes it can be difficult to find things that don't have some sort of process.
Right.
But there's a difference between lightly processed foods and highly processed foods.
Yeah, right. Like a protein powder that you buy in a bag. Is it processed? Yeah, they're going through a process to make it into a powder. So we're not going back on our word and saying, don't go for like a protein powder or a protein shake, you guys. But those things are meant to supplement your diet and supplement your protein intake, not to be the primary source, which I think Brande said earlier. It's something that I think can be a little bit of a mental hurdle because they make it so easy.
Yeah.
I think walk down any grocery store aisle now where you're looking for pretty much anything. They make like protein soda. Like they make anything and everything. They've added protein into it. And it's, what are they doing when they add protein? They're processing it. It's not the same as eating a piece of salmon and having a part of a meal where all of your nutrients are there. I think something that I have a lot of conversations about, I'm sure you do too, in regards to nutrition, is food pairing.
Yes.
And it's not solely about just the protein, as you were mentioning. The fats help support your hormones. We need carbohydrates for energy, for exercise, for just living your daily life. And sometimes it's mind-blowing for people to say, oh, there's an impact when I eat a carb, fat, and protein together.
Yes.
Right. And their minds are just absolutely blown. Oh, wow, eating a meal can actually make me feel good. That's kind of crazy.
Yes. And, I think to that point too, that can also impact blood glucose as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, I see a lot of people wearing blood glucose monitors, and, they're trying to better understand their glucose levels. And one thing that I think is really fascinating and a super easy way to help keep your blood glucose levels in check is pairing your macronutrients together. Because if you just have, for example, a meal that's very high in carbohydrates and low in protein or fat, then you're going to get a big blood glucose spike in your bloodstream when you eat that high carb diet, whether that's, pasta, rice, bread, sweets, But if you pair that and if you start with like a fat or a protein, that can keep the blood glucose levels in check. And, it can be a really simple, just meal order can be something that's really simple that you can do to try to keep that blood glucose, those levels in check. You also mentioned, the highly processed like foods and the marketing strategies that are out there to say like, well, this is high in protein. I mean, if you're looking at a bag of, like, I've seen crackers.
Oh my God, potato chips.
High protein potato chips, high protein crackers. And people are telling me, no, I'm increasing my protein. I found these potato chips that are high in protein. That's very highly processed protein. And, these marketing geniuses know now that, protein is becoming more of a thing. People are trying to get more protein, which is incredible. And I'm really happy for that. But, the marketing campaigns are really trying to get you.
Yeah, it's kind of wild too, because they're trying to take the guesswork out of it for you, whereas like, okay, it's a potato. It's not going to have protein in it, right? It's a carb. And there's so many pieces where marketing is, I could go on like a rampage about marketing, but we won't. Anyway, micronutrients really do help performance. That's something I wanted to touch on too, of just the micronutrients in food, which we, are going into a little bit of the value of. There's not going to be a lot of micronutrients in like a bottled protein shake for you, right? And so when we're looking at things like magnesium, potassium, things that are going to help with like muscle growth, muscle recovery, those things are really going to help increase your performance in the gym, right? Yeah. And so just taking note, if you are a person who is having a shake, more than one protein shake a day, I would say, because one to supplement, it can really get you over like a hurdle in the afternoon, things like that. If you're drinking like 2 shakes a day and having a protein bar, take a look at your energy levels. Are you noticing like, oh, I'm feeling really like I need to reach for a cup of coffee. My energy is crashing in the afternoon. I'm feeling starving by dinner and I'm overeating, right?
Yes.
I think that's a really good way to self-check and see, am I eating processed foods in a way that I'm not necessarily recognizing, right?
Yeah, I think doing that energy assessment is a really great idea and recommendation, and just kind of being more in tune to what you're eating and how the food is making you feel. Yeah. And if there's a correlation, your energy's dropping in the afternoon, you're feeling really tired, you're sluggish. Yeah, there probably is a correlation to what you're consuming. And it can really make a huge impact. And I think it's important to just kind of, even if it's for one day or for a week, to just kind of really pay attention to what it is that you're consuming. And, if you want to track for a week to just see, like, am I getting enough protein? I don't know. Most people aren't sure if they're getting enough protein, or they don't know how much protein they should be getting. Yeah. So if they kind of take inventory for, one day up to a week and just kind of see where they are, then they can make some adjustments. And, you mentioned micronutrients. It's really important, like, just if you're doing that inventory, wondering how much protein you're getting. Also think about, are you eating fruits and vegetables? Like, how many raw fruits and vegetables are you consuming? It doesn't have to be raw. It can be cooked, can be thrown into a smoothie, like whatever, in yogurt, like added to your meals, like, consuming fruits and vegetables in, a format that's not highly processed can be really, really beneficial, can help with energy levels.
And fiber.
And yes, and your fiber. I think, for fiber, I think the recommendation is like 20 grams of fiber a day.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah,
right?
And if you're over 40, I think it's up to 25 grams of fiber a day is the recommendation. For protein, I think if you are getting, 1.5 to, or let's say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, like that would be ideal for people to kind of work up to that. If you're not close to that, then, slowly adding in protein throughout your day to get to that amount can make a huge difference. And I think the easier way to think about it is think about it by meal and try to get, 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal. May not be so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then, spreading that out throughout the day. So you're not having to like cram it all in at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, a good rule of thumb, if you're trying to just up your protein intake and wanting to just build some muscle and really lose some body fat, or just overall feel better, because eating protein can make you feel a little bit better and more energy. I think a great rule of thumb is, yes, that 25 to 35 grams a meal, striving for at minimum, if you are just starting to track. I always tell people, like, let's work up to 100, and then we look a little bit deeper at, like your lean body mass, and we can do in-body scans, and, you can chat with us more about that. But it's always a good idea to just see where you're starting. And some people are they're not getting a lot in their diet, and they're trying to add in supplements that they might not even really truly need into their lifestyle, when they just need to be eating a little bit more.
Yeah. So. And really, read labels. If you cannot pronounce the word that's in the label on the back of, the packaging of something that you're buying, then that's a clue that it is a highly processed food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Gosh, I feel like there's always so much more we can talk about on this topic. We went into micronutrients, food first. Protein shakes are not bad. You guys, please don't walk away from this podcast or leave this podcast thinking like, oh my gosh, I've been doing damage to my body. Just know that food is always going to be the best option. And then again, we've got that good, better, and best. We work with what we've got for traveling, or you just need a shake to help, post lunch, kind of bridge that gap between lunch and dinner. It's not a bad thing to integrate into your day. Just get a good quality protein powder, and make sure that you're noticing your energy levels and making sure you're eating enough food first.
Love that.
Anything else, Brande?
No, I think that's a great summary, Jolie.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we will be back next week with more great stuff.
Thank you so much for listening to the Healthy Living Scottsdale podcast. Do you have a question that you'd like for us to answer live on the podcast? If so, all you need to do is head over to the Apple Podcast app on your iPhone and do 3 simple things. First, leave us a rating and review telling me what you think of the podcast. In that review, ask anything you want related to health, fitness, or nutrition. And if you want a shout out, leave us your Instagram handle or name. That's all you have to do. Then listen to hear your questions answered live on the next Q&A episode.